All right, for our I start in the middle there. I don't know. For the second part of our genetics unit, we're going to be talking about um, a little bit more modern genetics, a little bit more human specific genetics, and then some of the things that go along with that. And really, it's going to be a close look at chromosomes, right? Because how human chromosomes interact with one another matters here as we're talking about how things are inherited. All right, so here's a look at what's called a karyotype. We'll get into that later today, but it shows our human chromosomes and it shows an extra one in there. That will be talked about later. All right, so starting with pedigree charts is going to be the first thing that we're doing. Um, we use these to trace genetics through different family trees. The practicing that we've been doing so far, as far as like, oh, we know that they're heterozygous, homozygous, dominant, recessive, all that. That's great, but we can't actually, until very, very recently in human existence, it's not like we could just go in and get our genes taken and then we can tell what two traits that we have. Even today, we really can't do that. And as far as genetic testing goes, what we can do is we can look at family trees to determine where genes get inherited from. So starting off, a square is represented by a male. Sorry, males represented by squares, females represented by circles. And then if the shape is shaded in, that means the person has that trait. So let's take a look here. This is hypercholesterolemia. That is a genetic condition for having high cholesterol. It is shaded in here, and it is a recessive trait. All right. So if you look at this, we can tell that the first person here, first of all, number one is a male because they're square and they have hypercholesteremia. Um, because that trait is shaded in. His partner, all right, the woman that's number two is not shaded, so she does not have the trait. As we work our way down the pedigree chart, we see their generation of offspring. So looking at this, the original pair, number one and two, they have number one is their son, number three is their son, five is their daughter, six is their daughter, eight is their daughter. So they have five children, two boys, three girls. Of their children, three have had kids of their own. So number one has had kids with number two, three's had kids with number four, and seven's had kids with number eight. All right. Now there's going to be a temptation to say that, hey, number one's married to number two, number three's married to number four. That could be true, but for genetics testing, marriage doesn't matter. It just matters on who's had kids with who, etc. There. So what would we use this for? We would use this to determine how genes are getting passed on. So I said, let's say it is it is a dominant trait. Okay, so it's an autosomal dominant disease. So all of the not shaded in people would have two lowercase letters for it. And then we would have at least one uppercase letter on all of these blue squares. And then we would work backwards to see who can have what for genes. So we know that number one has to be heterozygous because he has children. Number three and number six that don't have the trait. So we know that those are his two letters. And similarly, we can tell for the different families where they're at. I like looking at the family of three and four here. They're recessive for both traits. So they will not be passing on that hypercholesteremia gene. Whereas these other families, it's still lingering in their lineage. So there's a look at pedigree charts and how we use them. That's what your homework assignment's going to be. And it's going to get at, do I want to get into this? No, I want to stop right there. Okay. So there's a look at pedigree charts. Check out the practice online. I should be able to do it as many times as you need to.